Yes, we do send money all over the world so that way we can align with these other countries so they don't come back later to attack us. Most of these other countries don't even want this aid. It's almost like they're being forced to take it because then they can our that department USAID does the dirty work that CIA doesn't want to do. Like I thought CIA was probably the worst, but no, USAID is. So most of these countries don't want it because then it ends up they have this obligation to the US. So they don't even want it, many of these countries. But we force it on them, and then we try to do regime change, and then we do what's rent a riot kind of stuff to change culture, sort of like what they did to us in 2020 with BLM. Yeah, that whole scandal was just, it was staged. So that's been going on, I mean, in other countries for a long time to try to do regime change. So that's why they don't want the money. No, what you're saying, it has nothing to do with that. All that's been debunked. No, it's not. It's disgusting. It's dirty. It is why our country, and I know you said they're trying to get you to not trust your government. I don't trust the government, and I think that that's a good thing. Because as long as the American people continue to trust the government, the rest of the world will suffer. And I really would rather not see that. Because that's what's causing us to suffer too. People seem to have this fear of, oh no, we can't have the American people not trust the government. I mean, literally, USAID was paying Politico to do hit pieces, several news agencies. We've lived under propaganda. That's what we've lived under. Everything they do to other countries, they've been doing to us. So there's nothing good about this aid. The other countries don't want it because they don't want America interfering in their countries, and I don't blame them. There's nothing that's been debunked here. More than anything, more and more is just keeps being uncovered with how bad this organization was. And yet people are saying that, well, we can't, like I was just listening to Mike Benz, who was on Tucker, and he seems like nervous because he said, well, we can't, because there's some of what you're saying is true, just in the sense that we have to do foreign relations with others. And so if you cut all that, then, he used the example of what, I forget the guy's name, Milton. He was a money guy. But he said how take a pencil. The lead that's in it comes from one country, the graphite comes from another, the wood part of it comes from another country, and it's like, so if you cut it all off, then you have this collapse of, what he's worried about is a collapse of government. That doesn't even worry me, really. I don't think that'll happen. I would if Biden was in, but I don't think there'll be a complete collapse of government. However, we're not being of good use in the world. We've been tyrants. Yeah, so that's the reason we keep losing freedoms, and is because, and it comes down to, for those that worry, like I can tell from your previous message, you said, they want you to distrust the government. Yeah, there's plenty to distrust them for, though. So we can do the denial game, but we've done that. So if we want to come out of this, the answer is not to say, well, we can't just completely not trust the government. No, you should not trust the government. They should have to earn people's trust, especially at this point. And this is just the beginning. It's like every agency, I imagine. I mean, because everything they've been doing with regime change and culture, using culture tactics to change opinion, and then take you down these even darker paths has been going on with psychological warfare in other countries. They've just been doing it to America. And in America, the most recent event was, well, you could take Charlottesville, when all of a sudden the Nazis just appeared after Trump got in, and then that worked for the media to then, because they're paid off too, to then push the narrative that Trump's a racist, all this crap. Then in 2020, Rent a Riot, BLM, and BLM is literally tied to the Tides Foundation, which is part of Rent a Riot kind of stuff. And then look at the people that head up BLM. I mean, really, they were living in $6 million homes, and yeah, they get a great gig. So none of it is organic. So it's wrought with disgust. It's wrought with wickedness, and a lot of it is people saying, that work inside the agency that are just, and this goes for many agencies that are just they're saying, I don't care if it's not the right thing to do. It's my paycheck. So, which brings me to another point, is that. People being so worried about, oh no, what if America doesn't trust the government anymore? Well, that I think that just needs to happen, as I said, but people need to realize, because these things are so big, and even Mike Benz is like, it's delicate. How do we fix? How do we do that? How do we do this and that? And this is why you have to go back to the Bible. Nobody likes to hear that, but it really is the truth, because even though people would say we don't have proof that God protects this country, well, I think there's a lot of proof for it. I think there's a lot of proof that, because once God gets disgusted with the wickedness in a country, then it starts affecting your freedoms, and that's how we've gotten more government, of course, and science being able to tell us what to do in 2020, and technology surveilling us all the time. I mean, none of that would happen if we would have if we would have been paying attention sooner. If more of us had been not saying, oh no, we just have to be in denial and trust the government, but actually saying, if we were not all speaking up sooner, then maybe we wouldn't be where we're at, because ultimately that's the only way that this is going to be fixed. I don't care if you're an atheist, or that's the only way it'll get fixed. We have evidence of it in the Bible. This is what God says will happen. It happens to other countries. It's why they're under dictatorships or whatever system they're under, and it's because there's so much rot going on that and so many people looking away that God starts just turning you over to your enemies. He starts putting more government on you. He starts allowing, before you know it, we will end up being under some dictatorship. I don't mean with Trump, but if we turn our back from this and not trust this isn't the time either to talk about that we have to trust the government and how are we going to build trust back. No, this is the time to know that many of these agencies, they need to be dismantled. We need to leave other countries alone, and we need to really turn back to God. That's the only way out of this mess. I'm 100% guarantee it. So I know there's a ton of atheists in this country, but that's the way it is. It's there's not going to be anybody there's things that an administration can do, but ultimately this is all on the people. The government is disgusting what they've been doing. Most of these agencies, Department of Ed too, everything. It's all tied to the union stuff too, and it's being corrupted. It's like this trickle down effect of corruption and wickedness. So to get out of this, we need to surrender and say, God, you know what? You're the one we need help from. Please forgive us. We see the truth now, and we ask you to please save us. That's the only way to get out of this. Denial and trusting the government isn't.